I just find it so ironic that now people in the States are concerned about how the veterans are being treated in the hospitals there, and we don't have a hospital, that we're not receiving the treatment. I know that many years ago a study was done to determine if we should have a hospital, and what they decided was that we shouldn't. But the thing that they looked at was the veterans that were going to Puerto Rico, not the total number of veterans that are here in the Virgin Islands and would actually use those services if the services were there. And I think
and important to note, the veterans that were going to Puerto Rico are those who could afford to go to Puerto Rico.
Right.
But there's some who can't, so they end up just staying here.
Right. And quite often people want to go or need to go with a companion as well. Then they have the hotel, they have the taxis, they have all of the transportation costs, all of those other incidentals which rack up the amount to a much larger amount. And these sometimes are people who are not working in government and don't have private insurance in other places. This should be provided. And one of the things I talked about is if we had veteran services or a clinic or even a full service hospital attached to our own local hospital, that would also increase the amount of revenues that were coming into our hospital that would then drive down the deficit and the debt that our hospital is in right now. So that's something that I really am going to be pushing for. I went this past week to see some of the soldiers who were coming home after deployment. And you wouldn't believe the number of soldiers who actually volunteer to go on deployment because they believe that that will allow them to receive more benefits than they're receiving here now. And so people are going away for large periods of time so that they can receive some additional benefits than what they would receive if they were just staying here in the Virgin Islands. We've got to make this a level playing field. We've got to make it a level playing field for our veterans, for our young people, for those that need health care through the Affordable Health Care Act, for voting rights. Why do people need to go to the States and become residents to vote for president and then turn around and try and become residents again of the Virgin Islands to be able to vote? We have got to give a voice to that. We can't just sit back and say that's the way it is and maybe sign something during a convention and think that that's going to be the case. No, we have to be on the floor. When we have opportunities to be on the floor, we need to say something about it. My name is Stacey Plasket, and I'm asking for your support, your vote, as your delegate to Congress for a greater U.S. Virgin Islands.